Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for another live episode here at Pursuit of Purpose. The show is called What Are We Doing? I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And the topic of our latest series has been the addiction to distraction. And we're going to close that series out today with this final episode. And for those of you who join us today, we're going to offer you the opportunity to ask all the questions you like. We've had some amazing guests and some really educational discussions.
Yes.
Chuck, what have you learned about our addiction to distraction? Is there anything that you'd like to comment on about the stuff we've talked?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Well, I like the fact that we had an assortment of different people in different industries talking about how distractions affect their industries, not the least of which has been two that we can really relate to around here, and that's our education system and our industry.
Yeah.
And there's been others that have contributed and they've done really, really well. But all roads kind of lead to just that effect of the development of people, starting with, our early prepared, like our kids, and all the way to now professionals. And how are they going to thrive in their industry if distraction is an issue? And I like that a lot of them come with at least some game plan to affect it. For in a positive way, but not the least of which is to just be very straight up and honest. Is like, this is going to affect you in a negative way. And sometimes I fear some people, like kids, they couldn't even see it coming until it's too late. And so I was very impressed how we brought it up as a topic and people were eager to talk about it because they already knew it was an issue in their industry too.
That's right. And all of that. Something amazing that I learned, a couple of things, but in particular, specifically about parenting and how we as parents have used our propensity for distraction as a tool to be lazy.
Yes.
And what a detrimental thing that is for the development of our children.
Right.
And I was actually shocked when that revelation, like the way it came out on the episode with Dr. G, and we were talking about that, and he pointed out the fact that, creativity is a result of boredom. Teaching us learning how to become creative is a direct result of us letting ourselves be bored.
Yes, I want to encourage our audience to go back and listen to that episode because that's a person, especially if you have children, who he is directly involved with the development of young people.
That's right.
And on that particular day, we were snowed in. It was our winter fest that we had. And he said, I took my kids outside so they could experience it. And it fit perfectly into our subject because he's watching them create things to do in the snow in something they'd never even seen before.
That's right.
And then eventually we got onto the subject of boredom, which blew my mind. In all of our readings and all of our trainings that we do, I never put that word on such an opportunity to create. I loved it.
Yes. So like I would challenge all of our parents out there and even adults, let yourself be bored from time to time.
Yes.
John Maxwell, one of my favorite authors, and I refer to him all the time. He talks about his process of how he writes his books or how he develops his creative processes. And he has a chair. He talks about it in lots of his books, but he has a specific chair, and that chair is his thinking chair. And what he does is he sets aside specific time, and he just goes and sits in that chair, and he'll have a blank sheet of paper there next to him, a writing instrument, and he has nothing on his agenda except to think.
Wow.
He's forcing himself into boredom so that he can unlock his creative potential. And that is amazing. So I would challenge us all, myself included, to practice the concept of forcing yourself into a relaxed, bored state of mind so that you can unlock your creative potential.
Right. And a word that, to me, that is synonymous with boredom is poverty. And that's a word that we almost like we speak of it just in monetary terms in our country. Oh, we got to stamp out poverty, and because we presume we live in impoverished states. And I know there are folks who do struggle financially, but we have a lot of systems to help those. But my idea of poverty is what John Maxwell is talking about. He impoverishes himself I want nothing around me. I don't want a stimulant. I don't want a tool. I don't want a tech. I just want to sit here with my piece of paper and then have absolutely no stimulant whatsoever, and then see what comes out.
It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Another thing that I gathered from these episodes was the direct and indirect cost to society of our addictions to distraction. And we uncovered that because of all the adjustments we've had to make in industry, in automotive, the automotive realm, in insurance, in safety, in education, all these adjustments have correlated to cost.
Yes.
So we don't even know what the true exponential result is, but it's undoubtedly that we are paying a very high price for our addiction to distraction.
One of the measurements that our friend Howard Bailey had, he boiled it down to something I thought our audience could understand, even guys like us who like, make it simple for us, Howard. But he boiled it down to time, how much time it takes after a distraction to get back on track.
Yes.
And he said, now time in the industrial world, in the business world, is money. We measure time as one of the measurements. And when he began to talk about that, I thought, I never thought about that. In now, if it's hundreds of millions of minutes, because you got lots of employees, well, then that's hundreds of millions of dollars that are being wasted in all sorts of industries. So that kind of took out the safety factor, which was its own panel of discussion. And now, as you brought up this morning, now we have just this loss,
the dollar loss.
Yeah, And I thought that was and he was rolling those numbers quickly. He said, imagine this person's paid this much per hour, which is an average wage. And I thought, man, that was impressive how quickly we could get to some very big numbers.
Yeah, it was amazing. And like the driving aspect of it, I had never heard the exact statistic, but I think it was Howard that brought it up about the 17 seconds.
Yeah.
The 17 seconds. So when you shift your focus from, like, say you're driving, you're going 75 miles an hour and you get a text message and you shift your focus from the road to the text, it takes 17 seconds for you to completely put your focus back to the road. So if you think about it, you switched 17 and 17, that's 34 seconds that you're not driving.
Yeah. So I challenge our audience today, if you're driving home, if you're on one of the highways or interstates, just count in your head 30 or 35, 4 seconds or whatever, and just drive down there and see how far you get at 75 miles an hour. Think, man, I just drove quite a distance in just that short amount of time. And now think about the factor I bring in the distraction. So now I'm even more vulnerable in a very very contentious situation, because driving is serious. It's a serious act. It's a serious management of a very dangerous machine. And so to be distracted for 30 seconds, a lot can happen in 30 seconds.
Well, yeah. And you just got to think, if you're going 75 miles an hour, you're going to cover 3/4 or more of a mile. Mm-hmm. And you're driving a 2,500 to 3,000 pound missile.
Yes.
And when you're not paying attention, that is an out of control missile that is a deadly weapon. So, I mean, that's a big deal.
Very, very big deal.
And we approach that circumstance so cavalier because we're, so familiar with it.
Right.
And we're over familiar and over comfortable. And that is, in many cases, a tragedy, because so many lives are lost these days in automotive accidents because of unattentive driving.
Yes, which is probably the cause of most of them, is as people are distracted, which was the reason for our subject for the last roughly a couple of months, is this issue of distractedness. I know you and I both work with kids on different levels, you in your home plus other activities. I work at, youth camps and I cannot wait to bring some of those statistics because I typically deal with the olders. So they're either at or already driving. And I feel pretty sure most of them have no idea of those statistics.
Yeah. And I mean, just thinking about it from an education standpoint, from the kids' standpoint, they have no idea how much of their young life they're missing by being distracted by their technology.
Right.
By thinking about their alerts or their social media or whatever it is.
Right.
And their childhood is just rushing by them. I mean, childhood ends so quickly anyway.
Right.
And they're just giving it up, inadvertently to this realm of distraction that we've created.
One of the questions I asked recently, I have some older teens that come in, and we were on the subject, friends, of kind of what's next, because they're right at the brink of finishing their high school. They're looking at the next steps, and they're kind of almost like overwhelmed with the question. I said, don't outthink it, but just think about this for a minute. Who are some of the most aspirational people that you think of? And maybe it's whatever their interest is. Maybe it was a sport or music or what have you. And I said, so how do you think they got there? And eventually, and I'm going to just give you the quick end, we got to the point of creativity. They basically put themselves in a situation to create. So while we're off out goofing around, they're sitting in their room learning chords, writing music, and all hours of the night. But we don't know that. What we see is what you see. And I mimicked my phone. So that's all you see. But what you don't see is what's behind all of that. And the countless thousands of creative people who maybe won't have the superstardom, but they love what they do. They love writing music and playing it in small venues because it fills their soul. And so my hope was that these guys would pick up on some interest, and maybe those interests could turn into a career. I don't know. At the very least, they'll be happy.
Well, this has been an eye-opening discussion. It really has. And later on down the road, we're going to come back to it, and we're going to talk about the advances in society as a result of our technology and social media, not just the negative aspects of the distractibility of it, but the actual positive aspects and what it was intended to be for.
Yes.
The things that benefit us.
Right.
The connection of being able to talk to our friends worldwide. Instantly.
Right. Such as this format.
Like this, like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back to that later. We'd like to thank everyone in our audience that has been a part of this series and all of our guests. We have had an amazing ride through this discussion. Now, we're going to talk about what's coming next. We are about to embark on a new discussion. And this discussion, it's going to be a comparative discussion about different things. And the question for this new series is going to be,
here it is. Is that right?
Is it right?
Is it right?
The next series that we're going to start, we're going to call the series, Is It Right? And the discussion is going to be about, how did we decide as a society, as a culture, as a country, as a world, however you want to see it, how did we decide what is morally reprehensible, what is legal, what is illegal? How did we come to those conclusions? And we're going to use some very current issues to make that discussion. For instance, just to give you guys a little teaser, we're going to talk about a comparison between an illegal drug and coffee. We're going to talk about that. And what is the reality of our physical effects, our mental effects, and the economical impact that those two things have, like the industries that are created around those substances. So it's going to be a fascinating discussion. I would challenge you all. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be eye-opening, and we believe that there's going to be some very lively discussions had as a result of this. So every week, Tuesday at 10 a.m., we'll be bringing you another live episode. And if there's anything you'd like to hear from us, we'd love to hear feedback. We'd love to have your input. And we would love any suggestions that you may have. Chuck, have you anything to?
Well, I want you to be thinking, friends, because we really do appreciate your feedback. And we're very fortunate. We have a lot of friends in different industries. And I think that we could bring their perspectives, because there are things that we participate in that we have, I guess, validated in some way. Like, for example, you mentioned things like coffee. Okay, well, that's just probably one of the most popular. There it is, popular products on the in the entire world right now. And how did it become such a thing that we are so permissible of? But then there's other things we absolutely, in our thinking at least, I would never permit that.
Yeah.
And so, how did those things differentiate? Because some of those things are things that either have been or in your world with, say, your parents, or maybe even yourselves. And so we would love your feedback as well, how you came to your conclusions to say, is it right? Is it right for me? Is it right for others? Or the antithesis of that, is it not? And what's the reason for that? So we look forward to your participation in that subject as well.
Right. And like, this is going to go deep. We're going to talk about things like marijuana. We're going to talk about refined sugar. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. And the question is it right? Does it make sense that we as a society view some things, as taboo and morally reprehensible, and other things that, and we just arbitrarily made these choices.
Right.
So we want to get to the root of it. We want to have those discussions, and we hope we can all grow from it. We really appreciate our audience. We appreciate our friends and all of our contributors that come on the show, both live and remotely. We look forward to these discussions. Please stay tuned, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And look forward to seeing you guys Tuesday mornings, 10 o'clock. And this is live, so please participate as if you are part of the conversation. You are welcome here, because as we work collectively as a community, we can come to conclusions, and the more collective conclusions we have, the stronger we're going to be. And we look forward to being a part of that here at Pursuit of Purpose.
Join the conversation, join the movement. Y'all have a great day.